The movie opens up with Joseph Price, who is a writer. Looking for inspiration, Joseph goes through his grandfather, Dr. Benjamin Price's belongings in the attic of their family's remote lakehouse. Joseph finds journals and audio recordings detailing Benjamin's extensive occult research into the Necronomicon, flesh-possessing demons called Deadites, and an ancient Kandarian dagger capable of sending the malevolent entities back to hell. Benjamin's recordings also stress that unsealing the hidden dagger will summon Deadites to destroy it. Joseph finds the dagger in the attic, unknowingly resurrecting Deadite Jessica, who previously became possessed during a cabin getaway. Jessica supernaturally slaughters two fishermen, Leo and Jared, at a nearby lake.
Accompanied by his girlfriend Thaya, Joseph later celebrates his birthday at a restaurant and nightclub owned by his brother Will. Joseph and Thaya grow uncomfortable when Will publicly fights with his French wife Alice, who has felt trapped in a troubled marriage by her abusive husband for some time. Upset over the altercation, Will drives off enraged, even though his brother cautions he may be too drunk to drive. Will rolls his car when he crashes into Jessica, who intentionally stood in the middle of a dark road. With Will trapped in the overturned wreckage, Jessica torments him before her head falls off. Jessica then supernaturally starts a fire that burns Will alive in the wreck. Joseph and Thaya meet Alice when she arrives at the crematorium for her husband's funeral. Alice receives a cold greeting from Will's parents, Susan and Edgar, who resent Alice for Will's death, as well as failing to start a family with him. Susan also attends to Will's wheelchair-bound grandmother, Polly, Benjamin Price's elderly widow who suffers from dementia.
Following the service, Edgar asks for a private moment with his son's body prior to cremation. With the Deadite curse having transferred to him, Will's charred corpse bursts out of its coffin to burn Edgar, causing him to become demonically possessed too. Responding to the commotion, the cremator returns to the room and is brutally killed by Will. With the funeral over, Susan, Edgar, Polly, Alice, Joseph, and Thaya retire to the family's remote lakeside house. While setting up a bed in the attic, Susan sees that Joseph had been going through her father's occult research. Susan calls the secret society Benjamin belonged to, the Circle of the Wise Men, a cult, as she claims he was a bad man who neglected his family when they needed him most. Susan collects the journals and audio tapes in a trash bag she instructs Joseph to throw away. Over dinner, the family has a tense conversation regarding Alice and Will's problematic marriage. As an argument breaks out over blame for Will's death, Edgar, who had already shown signs of worrisome behavior to Joseph and Alice, shocks everyone by suddenly stabbing the family's dog, Max, to death with a fork. Thaya and Joseph try rushing Edgar to a hospital, but he turns violent again, causing the car to crash. Edgar brutally kills Thaya with the metal prongs of a car seat headrest. Joseph flees in horror. After burying the dead dog with Susan, Alice finds the trash bag containing Benjamin's occult research. Alice reads about the dagger that can rip demonic souls from their bodies. She also reads about the Necronomicon, and she recites 3 of the 4 words from the Deadite incantation aloud. Alice does not say the 4th and final word, yet Max still resurrects to attack her. Alice fights off the Deadite dog. Alice and Joseph both return to Susan in the main house in states of shock. Thea returns too, but as a Deadite, with the headrest still impaled through her head. Thea drinks hot wax from a candle in a mock toast to the Price family before attacking Susan. Joseph and Alice manage to throw Thea down a staircase to lock her in the cellar. Alice, Joseph, and Susan escort Polly outside, only to be confronted by Edgar and Max. Edgar pulls out a handgun he uses to repeatedly shoot himself in the head, but he does not die. The other 4 family members retreat back inside, as Edgar continues standing still, staring intimidatingly at the house.
Thea convinces Polly to let her out of the basement. Thea attacks Susan, Alice, and Joseph, while Polly ascends to the second floor in her mechanical chairlift. With their fight spilling into the kitchen, Thea frightens Joseph into falling backward onto upturned utensils on an open dishwasher door. Having frequently exhibited cowardly behavior up to this point, Joseph fights back by stabbing Thea in her neck with a corkscrew, but she doesn't die. Thea leaves Joseph to confront Polly upstairs. Thea demands that Polly reveal where her husband hid the Kandarian dagger. Alice uses Polly's prosthetic leg to knock Thea down the stairs. Joseph repeatedly smashes Thea's head until it turns into bloody pulp, triggering a memory for Alice of Will's physical abuse. Alice asks Joseph about the Circle of the Wise Men. Joseph tells her more about his grandfather's research into the Necronomicon, Deadites, and ancient artifacts. Meanwhile, Susan puts Polly to bed. Now possessed with the Deadite curse, Polly speaks with a normal mind and voice, seducing Susan into a state of nostalgic reverie for her family. Edgar comes to the window. Susan unlocks it to let her husband inside. Despite his gruesome condition, Susan passionately kisses Edgar, causing her to acquire the Deadite curse. Beginning to show signs of possession, Susan returns downstairs to tell her son they can end their ordeal by giving the Deadites the weapon her father supposedly stole from them. Hesitating, Joseph backs away from his mother. Edgar suddenly attacks Joseph, which upsets Susan. In response to her admonishment, Edgar uses a candelabra Susan sculpted to knock out his wife. While Joseph tries fighting off his father, Alice tries to hide, but Polly confronts her. Polly stabs Alice in her ear with a keepsake pen Will gave to Joseph as a birthday gift. Alice stabs Polly in her eye with a shard of broken glass and uses the stair lift to drag her downstairs. Edgar smashes through an upstairs ceiling, driving Joseph into the floor below. To escape Edgar, Alice barricades herself in a bathroom with Susan, who had been behaving normally since Edgar attacked their son. Susan screams at Alice for supposedly ruining their family. Alice shows a burn wound on her stomach, forcing Susan to face that Will abused her. Succumbing to possession again, Susan cruelly taunts Alice. A violent fight ensues. Alice escapes by mutilating Susan with a rotary saw. Alice goes to the attic to search for the Kandarian dagger. Now possessed, Joseph crawls up to her. Alice stabs him with various blades until she finds the one that releases Joseph's soul, causing the curse to recede and his dead body to collapse. Susan and Edgar chase Alice onto the roof and down the chimney. Alice uses the rotary saw to decapitate Susan and split open Edgar's head. She then sets fire to the house. Alice escapes outside, where Max attacks her. Alice uses the Kandarian dagger to kill the Deadite dog. Will's resurrected corpse emerges from the burning fire to taunt Alice. Alice flees through the surrounding forest to a construction site with Will in pursuit. Will's subsequent attack causes Alice to fall into a pit where she impales her ankle on exposed rebar. The dagger begins sinking into tar that Will used to start flooding the pit. When Will goes to grab the blade, Alice takes the opportunity to retrieve a jackhammer she uses to destroy Will's charred skeleton. Alice gets the dagger and stabs her Deadite husband with it. Finally, she vindictively tears apart Will's skull with her bare hands. Clutching the dagger, Alice crawls away to approaching police cars. With dawn breaking, paramedics arrive to rescue Alice. A mid-credit scene shows a passing driver stopping to help Polly as she crawls along the side of a road. Still possessed, Polly viciously attacks the would-be Samaritan. In a post-credit scene, the crematorium manager shows her young daughter a shelf of unclaimed urns. Left alone, the little girl notes the remains of Christopher Leroy and Ellie Bixler. Deadite Ellie
last seen as a decapitated head kicked into crushing machinery, supernaturally manifests in the room to kill the little girl. Ellie declares, "Mommy's back." Make sure you like, comment on your thoughts on the recap, and subscribe with the notifications on for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.